from Australia. Perfect day in paradise. Brilliant. Okay. Steve as well. Philip. Brilliant. Okay. So let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. We're off to a brand new week here, and we're going to begin with Facebook ads. In particular, I'll just say a couple of things about what we're going to do and what we're not going to do. We're going to look at the right approach for paid traffic. It's a very powerful traffic method or traffic source, but you really need to have a really solid mindset for it. Otherwise, you'll find that you'll get a few days or a few weeks into it and you'll end up giving up. That's what happens to most people. So that's the main insight that we're going to cover today. What we're not going to do is go through Facebook ads, the Facebook ads platform, or any other ad platform like Google Ads, for example. There's many platforms out there, of course, where you can get paid traffic. We're not going to go through all of the how to set up in the dashboard and configure everything. There are many videos. If you search right here on YouTube, there's loads of videos which will help you do that. Facebook have their own videos as well, which I'd highly recommend, and so do Google Ads. So all of that information is out there, and I felt that if we did that here, would basically it would be redundant content because it's elsewhere, and also as soon as we look at it in the video, then because it changes so quickly, by next week, in a month's time, 3 months' time, then it would become out of date. So really the trick to this with paid traffic is getting your head in the right place rather than learning the intricacies of any one ad platform. So hopefully that makes sense. And if that sounds good to you, what we can do is just switch over to our slides here, and hopefully you should be able to see the slides here. Let me know in the live chat if you can see that, please, the presentation, and then we can get kicked off. So here's the main advantage of paid traffic. To me, it's about self-reliance and control. If you think about the content marketing and the joint ventures and affiliates that we covered last week, they rely either on other people or they rely on a lot of your time and effort. In the case of content marketing, putting into this project and really hoping that things go well and continued effort and so on. And a lot of that is beyond your control. You basically just have to keep throwing darts at the board, and hopefully occasionally one or two will hit the bullseye. Paid ads, you have much more control over, and you can get things set up really quickly in comparison. You're not relying on marketing partners. It's just you and essentially your computer. So that's a massive plus for paid ads. The disadvantage is that success depends on a certain mindset that most people don't naturally possess. I've underlined naturally there because this is stuff that you can absolutely learn and get your head in the right place. And we're going to cover that shortly in a few minutes' time. So let's have a look, first of all, at some examples. Here are some of my ads. This is on Facebook, okay? These are some 3 variations on the same offer. Essentially, they go to a webinar landing page, which I'll show you in a minute. So basically like a Facebook post that appears in people's news feeds, but it's sponsored. In other words, I pay for it to be there. And all I've done here is split tested the image, which is the most important part of the ad. The copy is important, the headline's important, the offer's very important, but initially, just to grab attention, obviously the image has a massive influence. So that's the first thing that you want to be testing. And this is the same in Google Ads or whatever. If you're using images, then just try and create different versions of those. And a few sessions ago, we covered the tool which I used to create these. If you remember, it was called Canva. Many other tools are available, but that's the tool that I like to use. So these are just preliminary figures that I pulled out, and this is not representative of what you should expect, or it varies by market greatly. It's probably a lot lower now during the period that we're going through at the moment, because advertisers have pulled back a lot. So costs have gone down, but it really depends on your campaign. So please don't, these numbers at the bottom, this is just purely there. I just took a snapshot early in the campaign just to indicate that obviously the different images and the things that you're testing will have different results. So instead of just putting up one ad, test a few, not too many, because then you can't get significant results, but 2 or 3 ads just to start testing which one kind of works the best. Then you can pick that winner. So in this case, if we were going off these numbers, it would be the one in the middle, and then try another version against that, see if you can beat it. So that's the basic kind of testing process that you would use in paid ads, and also elsewhere in your business. If you're testing landing pages, for example, just use your common sense. It's really just kind of common sense stuff. You can get very, very deep into the intricacies of all this stuff, but here I just want to give you the basic fundamentals. Remember, this course is all from first principles. So in this particular example, when people click, they get through to a page like this. This is just a page on my website, which is created using Thrive Architect, which, as you know, is my page builder of choice. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I'd highly recommend it to you. Other tools are available though, of course, and in the page builder space there are more and more. The competition is huge, it really is, which is terrific for us because it drives up standards and everyone's racing to try and make their product better. So it's amazing what you can get. But in terms of cost effectiveness and design flexibility, it's just a pleasure to use, I think, Thrive Architect. So that's what happens here. And then, by the way, if you're wondering what happens next, people can click on the green button there. They enter their email address just like they would in a free opt-in when we looked at lead magnets. We covered all of that. You can go back, if you look on the resource page, which is linked to below in the description, you can go and watch those sessions, and that they just sign up, so they get on the email list and they get to watch a presentation, which then invites them to basically a free strategy session, which is how we covered that as well in selling coaching. So that's one example. Here's another one which you've seen before. We referred to this in previous sessions. So again, it's just an email sign up, but this time the ads go to an offer where we're giving away a free book, a digital book, in return for them signing up. So what we've just seen is a couple of examples of the top two here, the opt-in page and the webinar registration. You can also drive ads straight to a sales page. Now, that is a strategy which you're going to have a lot lower conversion on, because now you're not just asking for an email address, you're asking for money. And it might be a great idea is a nano product which you sell for, say, $7, or a digital book that you sell for like $5 or $7 or something like that, lower than $10. So it's really low risk for people. But what you're doing there is you're generating buyers. But the conversion is going to be much, much less. However, that can be really effective, particularly if you're advertising to people who already have a slightly warm, they're not stone cold traffic. It's not stone cold traffic. So you're not advertising necessarily to people who've never heard of you before. You know, they see your ad completely out of the blue and they've never seen anything from you or about you before. But instead, maybe you put ads out to people who have visited your website. So they visited your website once, they maybe clicked around a couple of times for a few seconds, then they've gone off. Well, you can follow those people with retargeting. Very easy to do in Google ads or Facebook ads, and show them an ad where they could come back and purchase something for $7. So that's another strategy. Now, there are many more different strategies and different types of funnels that you can use with paid ads, of course. But here are 3 that are really solid and common that you see a lot. Also, the other thing to mention is that this is really the start of each funnel. So from the opt-in page, after they opt in, you could offer them an upsell product. Then an email sequence, maybe inviting them to a webinar. In fact, that's what the example I just showed you does. That's exactly what it does. Similarly, with the webinar registration, you can then invite them to a consulting session with you to see if they want to become a client of yours. If they don't, or anyway, you could show them one of your online courses or something else. On the sales page, you could have a bump offer and a series of upsells. So all of these funnels, if you want to, can be made deeper. What that does is increase the lifetime customer value for you, the amount of revenue you get from each customer, and that increase in revenue can then allow you to buy more ads. So you end up increasing your revenue and getting more and more traffic. Let's just pause there. Let me check in with you. As you know, I'm always have a healthy paranoia just to make sure that I haven't confused you. So let me know in the chat, please. Does that make sense so far? Let me know. Just give me a Y or yes, if that's okay. By the way, if you do know anyone who might be interested in this course, I'd love it if you would share it. Please do like the YouTube video as well. I'd really appreciate that. It just helps spread the message a bit more. What else? Yeah, if you want to recap on sessions, check the resource page out in the description below. Also, we have a Facebook group where if you have any questions about any of the stuff that we've asked, please do post in there as well. So there we go. Great. All right. So let's crack on. The other big sort of takeaway is to really, like with anything in your business, just look at what else is going on in your market and reverse engineer it. So for Facebook ads, there is the Facebook ads library. The URL's on the screen there. And I'll link to it in the description below. This is great, right? Any Facebook ad that's live anywhere in the world, you can access from this. You don't even need a Facebook account. And what it means is if you go to popular businesses in your market who have a Facebook page and they maybe do some advertising, you can look them up and you can actually look at what ads they're doing. And that's going to give you some great inspiration. So remember, we never copy and paste or plagiarize or anything like that. That's a big no-no. You don't need to do that. But always look at what's working already, what's going on in your market. That's the best way to learn. So the Facebook ads library is a really great resource. There are other platforms, paid products even, services that you can go out and use online, which will show you different kinds of ads and what's going on in different markets. But this is a great one because it's free, it's very easy to use and so on. So let's get on to this mindset stuff that we talked about before, because here's the biggest mistake that people make with paid traffic. They end up trying for a few days and then giving up. Now, I'm sure some people who are on here live will admit to this before. Admit to this at some point. And certainly when I first tried paid traffic, as I mentioned before, for the bulk, since 2010, since I began, the bulk of my traffic has come from joint venture partners and affiliates. In the early days, it was content marketing. Then I moved on to the JVs and affiliates. And at various places, I've done paid traffic as well. And I do a lot more paid traffic at the moment in my business. But certainly the early attempts, in inverted commas, that I made fell foul of this. All right, so I've been there, like many of these mistakes that I'm sharing with you. I know about them because I fell into the pitfalls myself. You know, I've been trapped by it. It's nothing. It's no judgment on you. It's just there. I mean, if you're going through the woods and there's a big hole, you might fall in it, right? It's not your fault. You just didn't know about it. So I'm just trying to give you a heads up. So when you do this, or if you do it again, you have a better chance of success. So here's typically what happens, right? You plan for ages. You take some courses on, say, Facebook ads. You really learn as much as possible because you want to be prepared. And it actually becomes, that's good, but it also becomes a big deal in your mind. This is a big project you're involved in. Then you run eventually your first campaign, and you know not to pull the plug or shut it down too early. So you maybe let it run for a few days, maybe even a couple of weeks. But at some point you'll begin to get nervous. You start to realise the campaign isn't set up exactly how it should be, because you've learnt some things in running it, and the leads are, in inverted commas, too expensive, and you feel like you're burning through your budget. And the result is you pull the plug. That is absolutely what happens to so many people. So what I'd like to do is share with you a few insights that you can use that will help you avoid this. So here's the way forward. The first is view your ad spend as an investment, not a cost, and have an I'm testing mindset. So in other words, testing and learning is your return on investment to start. Profit comes later. When most people set out on paid traffic, say they're running a Facebook ads campaign, what they're looking for is profit. They want to get more revenue back than they're spending in ad campaign. Of course, right? Of course you do. But that will come unless you're extremely lucky, which is not actually really a good thing because you won't learn what you need to learn. In the main, profit is going to come later, right? Initially, what you're getting back for the money you're spending is real life learning with paid ads, stuff that you can never get from a course. You can't read it in a book, right? You're learning actually on the job and you're doing it. So accept that, right? It's a testing. I'm just going into paid ads. I want to find out what works, and I'm going to test this and that. I'm going to take the lessons, move forward with another campaign, and I'm going to continue like that. And be comfortable with the idea that profit will come later. Work out a sustainable budget and mentally write it off before you deploy it. So you need to this is what I didn't do in my early days, and I certainly do now for many years now, but early on I didn't really do this. The money I was spending in my business, I felt like it was my money. And although ultimately it did come from me, because obviously when you start a business you put your money into it, as soon as you do that it becomes the company's money. All right, so if you have a business entity like a limited company or whatever it is, limited liability partnership or whatever, then as soon as that money's in there, it's the company's money, not yours. So you're managing it. Imagine you're managing it at arm's length, like you would do if you were employed and you're spending money on advertising on behalf of your employer. Okay, that's the place you need to be, because if you're not, then you'd be too emotionally attached to it, and every dollar that goes down in your ad account or that gets spent, you're going to be too uptight about it. You won't want to let it go, and that will just crush you. It will stop you moving forward and doing the testing that you need to do. So you can work this out. If you've got an existing business, a great thing that I recommend is taking a percentage of your existing revenue. So let's just say you've got for a round number, $1,000 a month, right, in revenue. All right. What you could say is, okay, I'm going to take 20% of that, and that is written off and put into paid ads. Okay. And I'm not bothered if I get a return or on it financially or not. That money is there to learn and to get to a place where I can get paid ads to work for me on a long-term basis. That's the objective. Now, if you haven't got any existing revenue because you're starting up, then that's fine. Okay, we've all been there. I promise you that. If revenue is zero, then decide upon an affordable budget. Okay, so whatever, obviously you need a budget to start your business for tools and outsourcing or whatever you want to spend it on, including for paid traffic. So decide what that budget is. But here's the crucial thing: ensure the budget is conservatively spread over 3 to 4 months. Absolute minimum, rock bottom minimum. I would probably say 6 months. So what that means is, here's what would be good, right? Is to do $5 a day for 4 months, and that would be $600. Okay, so if you decide, these are quite conservative numbers, of course, but everyone's budget is different. Okay, so that's why I've chosen a conservative number. Whatever your budget is, just make sure it's spread over a minimum of 4 months. So you've got a meaningful investment every day, and pretty much $5 a day is rock bottom really on Facebook ads. Okay, it's going to be very difficult if you go below that. But what that does is give you some breathing space. You then got time to learn and think, okay, this isn't quite right. I'm going to change this. I'm going to plug in this other offer and so on. And you've got breathing room. If you're trying to do everything in 4 weeks, it's amazing how quickly time flies. Before you know it, the first week's over. Then you try a few more things, and then 2 weeks goes by. Well, now you're halfway through, and you start to get a bit jumpy. You don't want that. So going in, managing it in the right way is so important. Here's what would be bad, is to spread that same budget, $600, but over 20 days. Now, you're going to have a higher daily ad budget. So you're going to learn more because you get more results. But then you've got to implement really quickly and make the changes you need to make. You've got this 20-day period in mind. It's going to be very difficult. So in an ideal world, we'd have a very big budget and years of testing time. We don't live in an ideal world. So try and create the ideal conditions for you in paid traffic going forward, with a budget that you can mentally write off and that you're comfortable. What you're getting back primarily is to learn how to make paid traffic work for you. And if that means a lot of testing, a lot of mistakes, it takes longer than you expect, but the end result is that you get it to work and you've got consistent traffic, that's brilliant. You can wait for profit, okay, in that situation. What you don't want is to create a situation where you're putting yourself under pressure, and then later on you basically have to quit because you get too jumpy, you can't stand the losses on your ad budget, and you just give it up, and then everything's wasted. The whole thing was pointless. The other thing, the third really important thing, is to focus on your offer. All right, so spend 70% of your time on the offer and 30% on learning the traffic platform. There's an immense amount of stuff you can focus on with, for example, Facebook ads. So, campaign budget optimization, for example, cost caps, all these sort of different, what should your campaign ad set and ad structure actually look like? How many ads should you test? Which targeting options? Are behaviors better than interests? What about custom audiences? How soon should you create one of those? Should that be in the same campaign as your cold targeting? And on and on and on, right? And I talk a lot about this sort of stuff in some of my courses on Facebook ads, and it's important, right? And you can learn that from me or from searching online. You'll find different opinions, but if you try it and just get stuck in, that's the main thing, all right? But none of it will matter unless your offer is good. Remember, this is the main message that we had with the other traffic stuff that we talked about last week, where we looked at affiliates and content marketing. They're both brilliant methods, but neither are going to work at all unless you've got a good offer. And that takes us all the way back, I think, to, was it session 5? I think you have to look on the resource page, but where we talked about dialing in desire. and pinpointing your prospect's desire. That is so important. So I really want to underline that as well. So less focus on ad costs and more focus on offer revenue. So somebody asked the other day, actually, in the Facebook group, it's an excellent question. What's cheaper, Google ads, Facebook ads, or solo ads? And that's a brilliant question, but I'm afraid my answer is kind of, it depends on what you're selling, how you're doing it, and so on. Also, do you really want just cheap traffic? Because you can get cheap paid traffic from a number of other sort of sources. It won't convert at all. It's basically just robots, but it's cheap traffic. So is that really what you want, or should you be asking as well, what's the best quality traffic? What's going to work best for me? So I think a great, and I'm not criticising this question at all, I'm really not. I've asked similar questions like that. It's completely valid to ask that. But what you don't want to be is in a situation where you're only focused on minimizing ad costs. How can I get cheaper clicks from Facebook, for example? That's not going to end up in a situation where you make a ton of money, because you're focusing on the ad cost too much and not enough on the revenue side. Remember, that's what brings the money in, is when people click your buy buttons and they buy stuff from you, or they go and buy through you with an affiliate offer, which, by the way, we'll be looking at shortly in another session, affiliate marketing. So that's the thing. So focus on the revenue side and making great offers. I hope that makes sense. So here's hope versus reality when it comes to paid ads. And let's do a little diagram here, okay? So put a vertical line, horizontal line. Here's your progress at the vertical axis, and then you're starting here on the horizontal axis, and then let's take 4 months. All right, so what's happening is you're moving along the horizontal axis from start to 4 months through time. So this line here is basically, once you cross that up the progress line, you're going to be in profit. So this is what you hope. It's not going to happen from day one, but hopefully within a week or two it should work and you've hit it lucky and that kind of thing. But here's the reality. All right, it's going to be like this. So you go up steadily, and that's because you're doing stuff, you're learning, you're spending money, you're split testing stuff like I showed you earlier, you're finding out which bits work, you're changing up the offer a bit and your landing page, and you're improving things slowly and steadily. But it's not going to be linear. It's not going to be, as they say, monotonically increasing, meaning that it goes up and it never goes down. You are going to have dips. So look, up here, and then, making some good progress. Now it's pulled back a bit. Oh no, another rise. And then, it's gone down again. And if anything, these little dips are underestimated. I should have drawn one that goes right back down here and then go back up. So what I want to do, I know this sounds like bad news, but I just want to set your expectations. So you're prepared and you've got the right mindset going in. If you've got that, then you can learn all about campaign budget optimization and retargeting and all these things. They're all important concepts. They're not that difficult to understand. You'd be fine with. You can be absolutely fine learning all that stuff, right? But it's not. But you need the mindset behind you to really take you forward. So, let me check in with you again. If you're on live, how does that sit with you? Any questions on that, or does that make sense? I'm just gonna have a little sip of water here while we wait for the delay to work through. It's a few seconds delay on this. Tom says, testing as an investor with write-offs is the best way I've ever heard anyone put this, Rob. Write-offs are tax allowable anyway. Yes, they are. So you can always deduct the the ad spend is tax deductible in your company, so that's good. All good, makes sense, all good. Okay, Philip's done a nice tick. Good old session. Thank you, Chris. All right, so lots of positive stuff. That's great, and that's, to be honest, what I wanted to get across is the main point is, I made a decision before this session. Do we go in and do I show you how to set up a campaign? Well, you can see that. Just go to YouTube, type in how to create your first ad campaign, right? And you can do that. It's just clicking around. How to create an ad image like I've shown you. Well, I didn't want to show you that again because we've looked at Canva in quite a lot of detail. So if you practice on that, free account, you can just get a free Canva account and just practice. You'll be able to do it. All right, absolutely. There's nothing stopping you. That's not the challenge. The challenge is getting your head in the right place. So that's the main purpose. That's why I wanted to focus this session in the way that we've done, if you like. So with that said, let's go back and have a look at the pros and cons. So rapid traffic, you can get targeted traffic within hours, absolutely no problem. All right, the only delay really is getting your ads approved, right, which is taking a little bit longer at the moment, but not too long. In the lockdown period, I've had ads approved in just like 2 hours, 3 hours, something like that. Maybe that was a one-off, I don't know, but it's not too bad. So you can get traffic. There's no problem. All right, there's great targeting options, particularly on Facebook. Even on Google Ads, it's pretty good, but Facebook's got the real demographic targeting, and it gives you this independence, right, and control. You don't have to have kind of hope marketing like with content marketing. You never quite know whether it's going to work, and you have to put a lot in. Hopefully a few darts hit the spot. You don't have to rely on marketing partners who can let you down, right? That happens. You're independent. But the disadvantages is that you've got an upfront budget risk. You don't have that with content marketing unless you outsource and pay other people to do it. You don't have that with joint ventures and affiliates because you only pay once sales are made, and effectively your customer pays for the traffic. And the Facebook ads, if you're going after completely new audiences, then it's colder traffic compared to affiliates and joint venture partners or content marketing, because they literally see an ad. They haven't read an article or been introduced to you via a joint venture partner that they already trust. It's much colder generally. So you need to do a good job warming them up and really hit those desires like we talked about. And, well, no success without adjusting your mindset. Enough said. Now, to finish off, I want to go back to something that I've talked about a long time. If you're on my list, you will have undoubtedly seen me talk about this, all right? But this is honestly what I do all the time working, and that is breaking my work down into little sections or chunks. I've done it this morning. I did it most of yesterday because I'm creating a new product at the moment, a new nano product with my private client group, and we're working that through. And I'm the best way to get it done is to just chop it down into little chunks. And what I like to do, I used to do 40-minute chunks. What I do actually is 20-minute. I just find that works better for me. You can focus. Even if you're in a bad mood and you haven't slept well and got out of bed the wrong side, you can still do 20 minutes really focused. And it's amazing if you do that, what you can actually get done. So all I do is I just go to YouTube and type in 20-minute timer. This is one that always seems to come up for me. And it just counts down beeps at the end and you're done. And then I either have a break, browse on another website, go and make a coffee, go and check how my plants are growing in the garden, whatever, and then come back, maybe do another session. So yesterday, for example, I worked for several hours. It's a quite a long day actually yesterday. I started at 8 in the morning and finished about 8 in the evening, okay, with breaks, got to homeschool the kids and have lunch and stuff like that. But generally I cracked on with my product that I'm developing. And that, even though I worked for quite a few hours, I still did it in 20-minute chunks. I know it sounds silly, but it just works. So I can't emphasize this enough. And if you are on my list, you've heard me talk about one of these productivity tips before. I'm not going to apologize because it's just worth underlining. I know people go, oh, that's good, Rob. Yeah. And then they don't do it. I know that. So I'm going to say it again. It really does work. So there we go. That is it for this session. Please do like the video and share it with anyone you think would be interested. It will benefit from. And we'll be back in a couple of days with more. So I hope to see you there. And I hope you're enjoying this. I'd love to hear suggestions from you as to what topics you'd like me to cover in future. I'd like to do some more of these sessions and continue it on for a little while rather than stopping. So if you'd like me to do more, please do post. Let me know in the Facebook group. Just drop a quick post in there. Anything goes. Don't be afraid. Don't hide in the shadows. And we'll see what we can do and bring forward some more insights and content.